So it's just talking about the waiting time for taking your driving tests. It's just not improving, and for people who are new to taking the test for the first time, it never used to be like this. I mean, if you go back, say 5 or 10 years, it's not that far along the way, you would do your training with your instructor, and when you're ready, about a month before, you get your test booked, or 6 weeks before, not long, and everything goes according to plan. And if you don't pass, you rebook your test for 2 weeks later or 4 weeks later, which sounds like it's fantastic, and it worked fine. And it's only gone wrong since COVID. And yeah, there was definitely companies out there that helped you find a quicker test if there wasn't one available, because it wasn't perfect, but there was sometimes you would log on and you'd have to wait 8 or 10 weeks for a test, and that seemed like too far along at that point. So you would contact one of these companies, and they weren't dear. They're about, and this is going to sound silly, £15 they'll charge you, and they'll find you a test. So they was making a little bit of money off it for finding it, and it worked fine. But now, since COVID, it's like the backlog is going worse, it's not going better. And yeah, these companies still out there, they'll still charge you £15, but there's companies out there, I mean, it's testy, that I think someone said it's free, but you've got to be fastest finger first to get that one, because you've got no chance otherwise. It puts out to everyone, unless you want to pay for a premium service, I think, on them. But I'm not too sure. Like I say, I might be wrong on the testing, so if anyone wants to talk about that in the comments, they can do. But I've had people who've tried that and it's not worked out for them. But there's these companies that are springing up. I say companies, these people that are springing up who are a little bit dodgy, because you don't know much about them. They haven't got a proper website, and they show up on WhatsApp forums or Facebook forums that they'll find you a test for X amount of money. And we're not talking cheap money here. We're not talking £15 like the previous websites that are all official that do them. They're talking 60, 100, 200, 300, maybe more than that in parts. I don't know. I mean, I've never actually used one of them. I know from 1 or 2 students who've used them, it's not been cheap, and it's not fair, because they're making lots of money off you, and especially this day and age where the driving lessons are not very cheap. The costs of everything's going up. Last thing you want to do is, when you fail your driving test, is having to fork out another 200 quid for a driving test for someone to book it for you. It's just silly, really. So I do sympathise with all the learners out there who are in that predicament where it's not worked out for them on the driving test, and they're thinking to go down the route of, do I get one of these companies to find me one for X amount of pounds. Me personally, I would try and use the DVSA system and just keep logging on every hour, and try and bring it closer. One of the things in the area where I live is they've got a WhatsApp page for instructors, and instructors swap tests at no cost to the student, so they're helping the student out. But yeah, I'm sure that might happen in different areas. But for the student itself, the person, they've either got to do what I said, keep logging on to the booking system, and it's a bit of luck really. If you log on just at the right time and someone's cancelled their test and you snap it up, then fantastic. Because it happens, when I've spoke to some of my students in the past, in the last 6 months, they've managed to, because they're at home and they kind of get their parents in at the same time, they all take turns each, once an hour logging on the system, and they've done that for 2-3 days and they found a test. So they're happy as pie. So all of a sudden they got a test in 2 weeks, and it's not cost them anything apart from the £62 for booking the test. and that's how it should work. But they're very far and few between, because, like I say, these companies that are making lots of money are snapping tests up. Now, I know the DVSA is saying they're trying to sort this out, but they need to get their act together, really, because it's not fair. But if you're in that situation where you're thinking, what do I do? It's up to you what you want to do. Me personally, start looking on the DVSA system for rebooking your tests and bring it closer, and keep looking for cancellations, and you might be lucky. Have a look, I suppose, look at 5:30, 6:30 in the evening, because most students will take driving lessons after school, and if they're not good enough and their instructor said to them, you need to cancel your test, when they get home, that's when they're probably going to do it, that evening, straight away, or an hour later. So like a place or time to do it is in the afternoons at 5:30, 6:30. That's probably a good time. Or look first thing in the morning, because what could also happen, I know that this is what people think, Monday morning 6 o'clock they release all tests for that following week, for the next week on the system, and that's right. But you could log in Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, 6 o'clock, and do exactly the same, because they're not going to release tests for that week. But anyone who's cancelled the driving tests that evening, they cancelled it right at the end, or they've gone onto the booking system and cancelled it in the middle of the night, it'll show up next morning when they reopen at 6 o'clock. So it could be there waiting. So that's something to think of also. But good luck with whatever you do, whether it's going to be an app, or you're going to pay someone to give you a test, or whether you're going to start checking it regular on the booking system. I hope you find an early test. If you do, great. If you've found an early test, tell everyone how you're doing it, because there's lots of people out there who are struggling. Good luck on the driving tests, and I hope you find one.